Right now, we're with Mark GiaQuinta, the Fort Wayne Community Schools school board president. That's Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he's in a situation right now where they're going to look at changing the mascot at Fort WayneNorth Side. And Mark, thanks for joining us. Tell us how this all started at Northside. Of course, my mom was a graduate there, and the mascot, of course, is the Redskins.
Well, we're first of all proud of all of our high schools, and including Northside. So the point that we try to make is that the memories in each of our high schools are created as the result of the relationships formed during those important 4 years, the relationships not just with each other but with one's teachers. And those memories don't change. And if you want to be a Redskin and you graduated a Redskin, you will all forever be a Redskin. There's nothing retroactive about this. But as times change, different issues bubble up, and they don't go away. This issue has been out there for 25 years or more. In fact, a couple of years ago, the local newspaper, the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette, stopped referring to Northside as the Redskins, mainly because any dictionary you go to describes it as an offensive term to Native Americans. And we began talking to members of our local Miami, they call themselves the Miami Indian tribe, and it was something that we felt we had put on the back burner long enough. We brought together alumni, student leaders, and members of the Miami tribe, and it was determined by the board, although we haven't voted and we don't intend to, because we voted on a set of core values, and our core values pretty much decided this issue when we approved them about 8 years ago. And those were that because we're an urban district, we have 85 different languages spoken in our schools. We have 31,000 students. We have 75% of our students under the poverty line, and yet we graduate 90% of our students. So we're a high-performing district, and it was just about time we felt that we began to show leadership and that we take our core values seriously, one of which, and one of the most important of which, is we celebrate our diversity, we love our diversity, and we practice tolerance toward each other. And it as a result, became clear that using a racial slur as a nickname, even though not intended that way, and I want to emphasize that, not intended that way, but when it falls upon the ears of those who it applies to, it conveys hurt. And they expressed that very well, and they talked to the alumni and they talked to the students about it. And so we're trying to move forward as a community and work together to come up with a name that is consistent with those core values I spoke of a couple minutes ago. And we'll do it, and we'll move on, and that will be that.
What is the process right now? Where are you at? Are you guys getting together to discuss what you're going to do with a new nickname, when that would take place? Is that what you're looking at right now, Mark?
Every decision that we reach in Fort Wayne Community Schools follows a process, and that begins with getting the right people in the room, making sure that people consider the process to be fair and inclusive. The board will step out of it because this is not a board issue. It is a management. It's something that we entrust to our superintendent. She has her student advisory board. We are including the alumni, but we remind the alumni that they had their 4 years in high school. They've moved on to other things. They're raising families. They're leading communities. Our students who are in the middle of those 4 years will play a very important role in coming up with a substitute nickname, and that is starting now. The principal of Northside, along with our high school area administrator, are working with alumni leaders, but most importantly, student leaders. And we have enlisted the help of the Miami Indians to serve as consultants because we don't want to ever have to do this again. We don't want to go from Redskin to some other nickname that is perhaps not equally offensive, but still conveys the wrong message. And the message, frankly, ought to be clear. An ethnic group ought not be a mascot. They're people. They're human beings. And how we ever got into this of using a culture as a mascot is I don't know. I mean, it was certainly before I was around, 1927 in this case. But there won't be a Washington Redskins NFL team in 5 to 10 years. Mark my words, it will change. And we, as the largest public school district in the state, we didn't want to be a follower. We've led in every other category of educational excellence, and there's no reason not to lead in this arena as well.
And, a lot of times it comes up, and I know the side that doesn't want to change a mascot will say, well, it's going to cost us a lot of money. Have you looked into how much that will cost to do that with Northside?
Yeah, that's a red herring. We're not going to rush out and destroy good uniforms. This thing the nickname has existed for decades. There's no reason not to use whatever equipment or uniforms we have, go through the stationery. We're not going to throw things away. We're not going to rip up a building. The cost should be immaterial, and frankly, extremely minor, because we're not going to do this in a way that violates another one of our core principles, which is to operate the district with fiscal integrity and efficiency. We'll cycle through the uniforms. We'll cycle through the Redskin stationery and everything else where we have certain logos in place that will not be ripped out. But sooner or later, the basketball court will have to be refinished, and when it is, it'll probably be changed. But frankly, all of that those are decisions to be left to the process, and the process is yet to be concluded. So Mark GiaQuinta, as a board member, ought not be indicating how all of that will happen, because I don't know. I'm not going to be a part of that process. That will be carried out by the administrative team, the student leadership, the alumni leadership, and others. So that's how it'll work, and it'll work just fine. But no, we don't expect there to be any significant cost.
Well, thanks so much, Mark, for taking time out. As I told you, it was interest to me. My mom's a graduate of Northside, so we'll keep an eye on that, and we appreciate you taking time, and good luck during the process. I think you guys are a leader, like you said, in making this change, because there's going to be a lot of that happening in the U.S. and in other parts of the Midwest.
It's certainly happening, and we always like being in a leadership position, and that's what we intend to do. Thank you very much for including me in your show this morning.
We're talking with Mark GiaQuinta, the Fort Wayne Community Schools in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He's the board president for the StatelineSportsHub.com. I'm Dave Schmidt.